You ever feel like your stuff has more control over your life than you do? Like you wake up every morning not working to live, but working just to pay for things you barely use. I know that feeling all too well, and let me tell you something, nothing will make you realize how much unnecessary stuff owns you faster than trying to move into a tiny home. Downsizing forces you to take a hard look at every single thing that you own and ask, do I really need this? And the real shocker, most of the time, the answer is no. For most of my life, I thought owning things meant I was doing well. A nice car, the latest gadgets, it all seemed like progress. But over time, I realized that every one of those things came with a price far bigger than the sticker tag. See, it's not just about the cost of buying something, it's about the cost of keeping it. The monthly payments, the insurance, the upkeep, the stress. We don't just buy cars, we buy car payments. We don't just buy houses, we buy 30 years of mortgage debt. And we don't just buy furniture, we buy the credit card bill that it came with. And before we know it, we're locked into a cycle where we have to make a certain amount of money every month just to keep up. Not to save, not to get ahead, just to pay for stuff. And here's something most people don't even realize. When you're constantly paying for things, you don't actually own them, the bank does. That fancy car, if you miss a few payments, it's gone. That big house, stop paying. Guess what? It's no longer yours. We work so hard thinking we're accumulating wealth, but what we're really doing is signing up for a lifetime of financial obligations. You ever feel exhausted trying to keep up? That's because debt is a full-time job that you don't clock out of. And that right there, that's how our stuff owns us. Now let's talk about something that a lot of folks don't realize until they feel stuck. Debt takes away your freedom. Have you ever wanted to change jobs or move to a new town or maybe start your own business? And for most people, that ain't an option. Why? Because they have payments. Car payments, house payments, credit card bills. Each one of those locks you into a financial prison, you could say, that where you can't afford to make a big change. Because if that paycheck stops, guess what? The whole house of cards comes tumbling down. You don't get to decide where you live. Your mortgage lender decides. You don't get to decide if you want to take time off work. Your car payment decides. And you don't get to decide if you want to follow a dream or start a new career. Because guess what? Your old credit card bill decides that. And that right there is why I call it financial slavery. You're working just to keep your past purchases paid for. That ain't freedom, that's being owned. And the worst part, most of us don't even realize it's happening. We just accept it as normal. But what if normal is the problem? What if the financial freedom means learning to live with less so you can have more choices? I see so many folks with six-figure incomes who are still struggling. You know why? Because the more they earn, the more they spend. Instead of breaking free, they buy a bigger house, a newer car, or fancier gadgets, and they think that they're moving up, but they're really just upgrading those chains. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and want to connect with others on the same journey as us, I'd love for you to join our Ask Pawpaw community. There's a link in the description where we come together and we share our experiences and we learn from each other and we support one another, living a simpler, more intentional life. Moving into a tiny home, it opened my eyes in ways that I never expected. When you only have so much space, you have to be intentional about what you own. You stop holding on to things just in case. You stop buying things just because they're on sale. And once I got rid of all that excess stuff, something incredible happened. I felt lighter. I wasn't spending weekends organizing junk or working overtime to pay for things that I didn't even use. Instead, I had more time, more flexibility, and more importantly, more freedom. For me, it also gave me the opportunity to save more for my impending retirement. I still work overtime quite a bit, but at least now I can put it towards my future instead of paying for my past. That alone has been life-changing. Let's break this down real quick. The average car payment in America right now, it's about $737 a month, and $520 if it's a used car. But now let's say instead of giving that money to the bank, that you put it into a retirement account. Let's say a mutual fund that's averaging like 7% returns. Over 10 years, that $737 a month could turn into around $125,000. In 20 years, $380,000. And if you kept at it for 30 years, we're talking about over $900,000. Now, even if we just look at a standard 60-month car loan, if you took that $737 a month and invested it instead, in just 5 years, you'd have about $53,000. Meanwhile, if you took out that car loan, you'd end up paying in a total of $52,000, with $8,000 of that going straight to interest. That's over $8,000 that you're just handing to the bank for the privilege of borrowing their money. When you're not buried under debt, every dollar you make actually belongs to you. You can invest it, save it, or even use it to create experiences that truly matter. That's something I wish I had figured out sooner. Are you ready to own your life again? So here's my challenge to you. Take a look around your home. What do you own that's really owning you? What payments are stealing your freedom? Now ask yourself, what would your life look like if you weren't trapped by debt? If you didn't need to make as much money every month just to keep up with your bills, and if you could finally do what you wanted instead of what you had to? It starts by letting go. Let go of things that you don't need. Let go of the idea that success means more stuff. And let go of debt that's keeping you stuck, because at the end of the day, life isn't about what you own. It's about the people you love, the experiences you have, and the peace that you feel knowing you're truly free. I'll see you guys next time.